The regular meeting of the Minneapolis Arts Commission will now begin. This meeting is being recorded in accordance with the open meeting law.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Joan Vorderbruggen, and I am the chair of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. Before we begin, I'd like to note that this meeting includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota statutes, section 13D.021. Due to the declared local health pandemic, I will now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so that we may verify the presence of a quorum.
Thank you. Commissioner Aylesworth.
Present.
Commissioner Medberry.
Present.
Commissioner Brinkman.
Present.
Commissioner Silky Jones. Commissioner Mansfield.
Present.
Commissioner Midak. Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Winton.
Present.
Commissioner Thompson.
Present.
And Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Present. Thank you. With that, we'll proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, which is available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. Okay, thanks everybody. Welcome. We have some wonderful guests here this evening, and we have a really dense agenda, lots of items here. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, so we'll adopt the agenda. We have to change an item on our agenda. Commissioner Mansfield has asked to pull item number 9 on the consent agenda, the Green Crescent final design, from consent to discussion. Commissioner Mansfield, do you want to make a motion to do that?
Yes, I move the agenda number 9, the Green Crescent design decision, to the discussion portion of the agenda.
Could I get a commissioner to second that?
Second.
Thank you. And can you call the roll, Tina, please?
Yes. Commissioner Aylesworth.
Aye.
Commissioner Bedberry.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkman.
Aye.
Commissioner Mansfield.
Aye.
Commissioner Midak. Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Aye, that motion passes. Thank you. Okay. We also need acceptance of the minutes.
So moved.
Commissioner Aylesworth, second.
Tina, do we need to call the roll on the minutes? My apologies.
Yes. No worries. Commissioner
Aye.
Commissioner Bedberry.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkman.
Aye.
Commissioner Mansfield.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Morgan.
Aye, that motion passes. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Next up, introductions. And before we start today, I've invited Commissioner Thompson to kick off our introductions just by taking a little extra minute to tell us a little bit more about her, being that she's new. And so thank you for offering to take a moment, Commissioner Thompson, to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. And then I'll introduce myself and then we'll start with tagging each other. Okay?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I just felt like I didn't get enough chance to introduce myself last time, so I'll just take a minute now. So most of my career has been spent as a city planner with the City of St. Paul, and that's really where my public art experience comes from. I worked on various public art initiatives for the City of St. Paul. We updated the public art ordinance. I worked on a kind of an interdepartmental committee between the Department of Planning and Economic Development, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation to implement the public art ordinance. So a great thing in St. Paul, there's a lot of interdepartmental cooperation on initiatives, and we updated the ordinance under a mayor that really wanted all of these departments who have a kind of touch public art in St. Paul to work together. So we set up a kind of an interdepartmental committee to make sure that everyone is implementing the ordinance per ordinance. The St. Paul ordinance actually has a planning requirement where you're hiring not only the typical % for art for public infrastructure projects, but if you're doing any kind of master planning process, any consultant team has to have a public artist on it. And so I oversaw many planning projects that had a public artist on the team. So that function wasn't really to decide where to put public art, but it was to have a broader definition of public art as a community engagement tool, as a lot of the things that you guys have already worked on in terms of broadening the definition of the importance of public art. So got a lot of experience working on that. And I think a lot of consultants learned about the role of public art as well. So I think that was really useful. And then we also created kind of a manual on how to implement the public art ordinance there, which is kind of complicated, but it helps staff in each of the departments who don't work with public artists all the time to figure out, as they're doing a parks project or a public works project, how to solicit interest from artists for city work and, kind of various calls for art and stuff like that. So I have a lot of policy background in public art, so I'm excited right now to get involved in the ordinance work. It's been really interesting. I am retired now. I retired almost 2 years ago, so this has been now a fun new endeavor for me to kind of get back into some of the policy work I did. So anyway, thanks for the opportunity, and I'm just really happy to be here and learn from all of you, and I look forward to when we can be in person and we can all see each other in person. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything? You can raise your hand if you do. I'm trying to watch. I think I'll just comment that experience is amazing and was part of, obviously why you were selected to join us and join our group. So thank you for sharing a little bit more detail about your incredible work history and supporting artists in the city. So that's great. Okay, so moving on to introductions of the commissioners, I guess I'm just gonna, we're gonna do what we normally do, introduce ourselves, the ward, pronouns, and if you want to just give a quick update about how you're doing really briefly, that would be awesome. I am Joan Vorderbruggen. I'm the Director of Hennepin Theater District Engagement for Hennepin Theater Trust. I represent wards 3 and 7. I am excited for our conversation tonight. That's how I'm doing. I'm kind of anxious about it. It's a lot, but I'm excited. It's nice to be able to have a robust conversation about big decisions. So I am going to tag Commissioner Brinkman.
Hi, I'm Crystal Brinkman. I live in Ward 1. I have experience with arts administration, and I'm a musician. And I'm doing okay. I'm here. I'd like to tag Commissioner Swinton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Swinton. I represent Ward 7, and like Joan, super excited for the meeting. We have some guests that they're going to introduce themselves later, but super excited about that. And I'm a lay person, so more on the collecting end of art and not in the art administration, but lover of art, and that's where my passion is. So, and I'd like to tag Commissioner Mansfield.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mari Mansfield. I'm a visual artist, and I'm definitely looking forward to a big meeting. I will tag Mandy.
My mute button is still on a 4-second delay. Apologies. Hi, my name is Mandy Bedbury. I'm in Ward 10. This is my 3rd year on the commission as an artist. I am an improv artist, commercial actor in the city, and I also teach professional development using improv as a tool. Is kind of what my day gig is. I'm super excited. It's so fun to have guests and so fun to learn about new organizations. So, and also I'm excited about the ordinance. There's just a lot of movement happening, hopefully in a positive direction. So that's exciting. So the more work we can do, the better. And I'm going to tag Commissioner Smith.
Hey, I'm Commissioner David Smith. I'm one of the laypersons. I represent Ward 1. Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of review these big changes. It should be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say and what the ramifications are really going to be. And I will tag Commissioner Midag.
Hey, I am Lisa Midag. I am in Ward 2. I also work, like Joan does, downtown, so work in Wards 3 and Ward 7. I believe my position is a layperson, but this is my final year of 6 years on the commission, so I might have transitioned from one kind to another. I am excited to be back to work downtown full time, and we're planning the Downtown Street Art Festival and have sort of relaunched the Nicollet Makers in conjunction with the Downtown Farmers Market, which has been a lot of work, but it's super exciting to be welcoming people back downtown who have this extraordinary creative output. I need to tag somebody, and I'm looking at a very tiny screen.
I think it's just me, Commissioner.
Okay, Lana, go, please. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Lana Aylesworth, she, her, hers. I'm an arts enthusiast from Ward 11. I'm super excited to see a lot of our policy conversations come to the table for the full group. So I'm keeping cool on hot weather days, and I'm getting a puppy on Saturday. So there you go. Let's jump in.
Thank you, everyone. And then staff, Tina, would you like to go?
Hi, I'm Tina Beach. I work in sorry, I just went like I'm sorry, I'm on vacation right now. I'm in Maryland, so just trying to get my thoughts together. I am a program assistant at the City of Minneapolis. I support the commission, and looking forward to this meeting. Didn't want to miss it, that's why I'm here. I wanted to say, so I'm excited for everyone. So I'm gonna tag Mary Altman.
Hi, everybody. Mary Altman. I lead the public art team for the city, and I'm excited to hear from the Rojo Collective.
Awesome. Gulgun, would you like to go next?
Hey everyone, Gulgun KM, Director of Arts, Culture, Creative Economy, work out of the City Coordinator's Office. And boy, I'm excited for this entire meeting. There's a lot of interesting conversations and interesting people. So yeah, thanks for doing this.
Thank you too. Am I missing anyone on staff?
I think Danielle may be on the
Yeah.
call.
Are you?
I am.
Danielle? Please go. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, all. I'm Danielle Shelton-Volchek. I am the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the City Coordinator's Office, and I'm one of the many people who have been working on the arts ordinance work in the enterprise, and I'm excited to hear what y'all have to say, but also just the rest of the agenda too is really, I'm going to echo Gulgun's sentiment. So I think I'm going to learn something here. So thanks for the invite.
Thank you for being here. It's great. And then we're going to ask our guests to introduce themselves. And I just want to say that we have a little bit more business to do before we get to our discussion and our presentation by Rojo. So thank you all for your patience. We are so excited, clearly, for you to be here. But I'll ask Rojo if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for all the positive words that you've said thus far. We're excited to be here. Also, my name is Kara Deans, and I'm the Executive Director of the Rojo Collective.
And my name is Christopher Aaron Deans. I am the Director for Rojo Collective. Yes, we are very excited to talk with you all. A lot of great things we have happening, and a lot of great things I'm hearing that other folks have happening, and we're very interested in partnership.
Thank you so much. And Kino, I think I saw that you're on the call too. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. It's a joy to be with you all. I'm Kino Ibal. I'm the founder and director of the Black People Arts Cooperative in South Minneapolis. We're a pay what you can art co-op for Black folks in the state of Minnesota, doing work at the crossroads of art, civic engagement, and community organizing. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Are there any other guests on the call that we missed? Awesome. Okay. The next item is an announcement about the Creative Response Fund, the Community Wellbeing Grants. I will be sending this group more information that Gulgun has provided, but it is there is an open call right now, and there's a panel opportunity for a commissioner to participate in. There's a $250 stipend. The panel meeting date is on July 20th from 9 until noon. There is an info session on June 28th from 10 to 11. So there's 2 meetings. If you are interested in participating as a panelist for the Creative Response Fund Community Wellbeing Grant, please reach out to me and I will direct you to where you need to go. And thank you in advance for anyone who might be interested in that opportunity. Is there any additional announcements before we move on to the consent agenda that anybody would like to bring forward?
Hey, Madam Chair, this is Mary. I think we do have one more guest.
Okay.
Mark Peterson appears to be in the meeting, so he might not want to introduce himself, but I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, thank you. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, that's okay too. All right, any other additional announcements that anyone wants to share? Okay, so we'll move on to a consent agenda. We are recommending approval of these recommendations as amended, the 2021 recommendations to MAC artwork, to maintenance and conservation recommendations. My apologies. The MAC recommendation is, I'm sorry, Mary, I'm going to need your help here because for some reason this is not translating for me. The 2021 maintenance and conservation recommendations recommend approval of the recommendations as amended. And then there were some attachments via the agenda. The second item, I think I got that right. The second item is the Curry Park final design, and we recommend approval of the design. And then we have moved the Green Crescent consent to discussion. So can I get a motion to approve items number 7 and 8 on consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I think, don't you mean 7, 8, and 9?
9 has been pulled for discussion.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda items number 7 and 8, maintenance and conservation and Curry Park final design.
I move it. I moved it on mute, so sorry. I'll move it.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Can I get a second?
I can
Second.
second that motion, Commissioner Brinkman.
Thank you, Commissioner Brinkman. Okay, and then Tina, if you want to call the roll.
Commissioner Aylesworth,
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury,
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mansfield,
Aye.
Commissioner Middag,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson. Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Thompson. Okay.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vorberg.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you all. Okay, on to.
Hey, quick question: Is anybody else having a lot of trouble hearing Tina, or is that just my connection?
I think I am having, but I can make it out. But yeah, I think she's got a little bit of a connection issue. Tina, we can hear you, but it breaks up just a little bit, just so you're aware. Thanks.
Okay, maybe I'll adjust my headphones. I will.
Okay. Thank you to Tina for being here while you're away. Okay, so the highlight of our evening, we get to talk to RoHo Collective, Christopher, Aaron, and
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think you have to, if an item has been pulled, I think you have to do that next. Unless you want to move it to later in the agenda. I thought it was pulled for discussion.
It is pulled for discussion, and I'd like to do it last.
Oh, last? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Christopher, Aaron, and Kara Deans, could you go ahead and thank you for being here. We're all super excited, and we've been wanting to meet with you for many, many months. So I also want to just thank Commissioner Swinton for the great outreach that he's been doing, bringing folks to the meeting tonight. So go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I think we were slotted to talk to you all sometime before the new year, and then things happened, and things happened again. So it's good to see some familiar faces on the call, and yeah, thanks for having us. So we'll just kind of share a little bit about RoHo and what we've been up to and what we're doing.
Yeah.
You wanna?
So I was pulling up my little bit of, I had a presentation from other introductions that we did. So the RoHo Collective is a nonprofit arts organization that started in 2015. And it is an organization that supports Brown artists. Those are the artists that are musicians, visual artists, sculptors, photographers, dancers, actors, you name it. So we have a very eclectic group of visual artists that we support. RoHo is Swahili for spirit and soul, and it is our network. And what we do is we support artists of color in their individual businesses. So, for example, the workshops that we've offered this year have been like tax preparation workshops for those businesses. We've done grant writing workshops. We're doing artist statement and artist writing workshops, and identifying and talking about your work as an artist and as a professional artist, what that looks like. And a lot of times in the Brown community, we're not brought up to speed sometimes, or we're not walked through those processes as small businesses. And so that's a lot of the focal points of the work that we're doing, alongside I mean, there's a lot of alongsides with our projects, but we have public art partnerships to do a lot of that work. And we have organizations that we partner with for funding for individual projects for artists. We do workshops in the community that are specific to Art Heals events that have really taken shape after the murder of George Floyd. So we've done, I believe, 5 Art Heals events at this time, where we would go out into the community and have our artists do live art with the community, where the community is able to do work in kind of a call and response manner to create small canvas murals, dancing, yoga, free food, free art supplies for kids and families.
And we also
you
have
name it.
therapists that
Yes.
come to each of our event, and we kind of have a little network, if you will, of folks that we pull from. But so families and community members really have a chance to, we're either doing circle conversations or just having information available for folks to connect with, which I also think is a really beautiful element to that process. And so
That's
along
nice.
with
Circle
the
keepers.
along with the business development aspect of the Rojo Collective, we also work to partner, connect, and amplify our members. And so how we do that is a few ways. If you go to our website, you'll see them on our website. So that's a part. And then we really work to create partnerships with different companies and organizations around that put artists in positions to be able to work or apply or what have you. So, I mean, just today there was 2 different on our that we have as a collective. There was 2 different job positions, opportunities. And one is just for Rojo. And so we really work hard to be able to create partnerships that are exclusive to members of our organization, so that they have opportunities that are presented only to them. And I think that's one thing that's a huge benefit to membership and really special and unique. So there's one for a summer program teaching position, and they will have that school has agreed to choose from an artist within our network. We're also working with Minneapolis Public Schools on a artist residency for next year, and it could hire almost up to 7 artists from all kind of mediums to be working in the Minneapolis public school systems and with teachers. We have a contract with Mortensen Construction. As you know, in the city, they are really working to reface a lot of the properties that they have. So I think that one is us and another organization. As they are working to do the public artwork, they are looking for collective members that are already within our network. So those are just some of the kind of examples that we're offering for and to our members. One thing that's really cool is that we have members we have members in Chicago, we have members in New York, we have members in California. And that's kind of newer as of this year, that they're just like, well, I live here, but can I still, participate and be a part? And I'm like, well, okay. I'm not, of course we're geared towards our area. And I was like, and I can't, promise of, how I'll be able to help and serve and some of the connections piece, but of course the business development, the training and all of that, which we are finding is such a huge piece for our artists and our collective members. Right now, I think we're almost up to maybe 40 members. And it's really just our artists talking to their artist friends. We don't really do a push or anything for membership. It's really just kind of word of mouth and real grassroots right now. And we're also looking at space. So we will be having a brick and mortar space soon. So I'm really excited about that. We've partnered with Chameleon, which is how I met Lisa. And so we will be getting space soon. And so to have a fine arts gallery in the heart of our city that represents Black and Brown artists, I am super duper duper thrilled about. So that's kind of what we've been doing and working on.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's, I mean, that last detail kind of makes me go, woo! So exciting. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Does anyone have, oh, I would, well, if it's okay to comment that also, you know, RoHo has been so just generous in the different ways that you show up in community and all of the tentacles that the creative community that you have. That I was helping shelter over in North Minneapolis, Haven Housing, and they wanted a curatorial panel. So that was another way that we were able to reach out to RoHo and say, hey, like that would be really cool if y'all could curate and for, you know, a stipend, and of course, but like there's just so many ways that you're talking about how you show up and all the different ways in community. I'm learning a lot tonight too. I'm curious if anyone has any questions for Kara or Christopher, Aaron.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Swinton. Like everyone that said, so thrilled for you guys, you know, to be here and to learn more. Kind of talk to us. How do you think? I know you guys and some of your artists have worked with the city. Talk through kind of that process. Do you have any thoughts in terms of, you know, how we could do better as a commission and how we can work closer together?
Yes. So there's 4 of us artists in the collective that are public artists and have worked with the city in different capacities before, mainly as public artists. Throughout that process, there's like some nuances to the work that has, I would say, grown. And so there are some new systems that's been put in place in the last few years for artists and artist calls, which are the RFPs and RFQs. And it's a little difficult to navigate. And so I think one of the things that we would like to do is we would like to have so maybe someone on your commission to come out and have an opportunity to kind of walk our artists through that process. Like I said, we do have a few artists in the collective that have successfully done some public artwork and are very interested in applying for much more. But I don't see that the process is easy. It's almost inequitable in some ways, but we're looking to try to fill that gap. Mm-hmm. We're looking to try to connect in a more intentional way to allow us as artists to thrive in those areas, because the continuation of that work is really a high demand. Like Kara said, we have a partnership with Mortensen and a few other partners that are doing some public artwork or allowing us to do public artwork as partnerships with them. But we're definitely interested in doing public artwork with the cities and with the state as well. So if that gap can be bridged, that would be pretty awesome.
I think too, sometimes the language, and I was going back and forth with email today with somebody. We're in a unique position as an organization because we are like a legal 501c3. Of course, we're able to apply for grants and things like that. But for public art, it's a little interesting caveat because most of those fundings are open just to individual artists and not for organizations. And actually, like, say, if you're an organization, you cannot apply. But we're a little bit different and unique in where we do have this collective. So we really have an inner workings of a team already built within our system. So some of those kind of things that come up for us as an arts organization, and not just with public art do grants, have that kind of language, but a lot of art-focused RFPs and fundings are for individuals as opposed to organizations. And then if they are for organizations, they are for like the Walker or, really large museum institutions. And so there is this real gap in the funding world for art organizations that lie, such as ourselves, with not like $1 million plus budget, but are out doing the work in the community and for our collective members. So,
and I'll say also, as an outlier, the language in particular is constructed for architectural entities and not necessarily visual or fine artists that's breaking into that construct of public art realm. So in some facets, yes, the need to make sure that those languages are in place is very appropriate. But I think that it should come after the call. There should be like a secondary documents that after you've won the call, these are some stipulations that can be walked through to understand. But on as a tertiary, but as the first step, it should on its face be simple. It should be readable, legible for the approaching of the artist to get in and have that proposal fulfilled. This is kind of where we're at with that.
Thank you.
Had a question.
Anybody else?
Lisa.
Thanks. Thanks for calling on me. I'm curious because we're seeing a real trend of intentional investment in neighborhoods and community at the city scale. And we're seeing that potentially affect arts investment in the city enterprise being focused in specific communities. And I wonder how that impacts organizations like RoHo that are a little bit more diffuse in it. And if there's anything you'd want us to understand or think about with regard to that.
Yes.
Well, I would say the first is that they would be available for organizations, because I've seen a lot of those come through and they're for individual artists, and as an organization we can't apply. And it gets tricky, like if we were to have, a group of our artists, of course they can apply, which sometimes they do, on the foundation of the work that we're already doing as an organization. But then that cuts us out of funding, being able to support, and being able to continually do the work financially. So as the finance and grants writer person, that's what I would say. I'm sure you have a different perspective as an artist.
Well, so a lot of those proposals are specific to neighborhoods and areas. Mm-hmm. So like there would be or regions even. Right. There's some that are regional. There's some that are like South Minneapolis or Northeast grant proposals that are open. But as an organization, we represent artists in all these different spaces. And so the proposal can't come from us, or can it? It's unclear in the language. And so that is definitely some conversation that we need to have. Maybe shed some light on those pieces.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Thank you. I think I've been taking some notes and some takeaways here. It's been really generous. Thanks for those comments and questions, and the authenticity in your answers of where the opportunities could be for ourselves and for staff to consider how we might close some gaps in accessibility for opportunities that are forthcoming. So that's always really appreciated. Anything else in closing? You're very welcome to stay on if you wish. You're welcome to continue on with us too, and or be on your way with your evening, whichever you choose. So just know we are very, very grateful that we could spend some time with you tonight and learn a lot about ROHO and hopefully be as supportive as possible moving forward. Commissioner Swinton, hello, did someone have their hand up?
Oh, I was just thanking you guys for having us on. We really appreciate it and glad we were able to make it work. I was supposed to send Jeff some information, but I will send all the stuff we have going on this summer. We'd love to see you guys out in the community rocking with us. So yeah, I will send that along.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, the next item on our agenda is number 11, which is the update on arts stabilization process. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I need to look at the chat because I think I have a agenda that wasn't amended right. My apologies. A moment. Okay, general updates, timeline, and status. So I'm not sure, Danielle or Gulgun, which one of you would like to just give us an update about where we're at with the timeline. And if you are not ready to provide that information, I do have some that I can as well. Would either of you like to speak to this?
Gulgun, I can do that if you'd like, Gulgun.
Yeah, please.
All right, thank you all for the invite again, and nice seeing you. Danielle Shelton-Volchak, like I said, the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the City Coordinator's Office, she, her, and hers. So the update, I'm actually really excited. I don't want to jinx it, but we're in the final stretch. And after many years of having this conversation. And so the update on the timeline is as follows. So today, actually this afternoon at POGO, on the consent agenda, it was agreed to to have a public hearing going forward. We always have to go through those, incremental steps. And so that was approved today. And we have 2 public hearing dates slated, one for June 30th and another one for July 21st. And so it's actually going to be held over a public hearing, usually ends after that date. We're actually going to have 2 dates in POGO to get public comment from individuals who want to sign up and discuss their thoughts, whether they approve of or disapprove of forming an arts department. They'll be able to do that on June 30th and July 21st. And the reason we had some conversations, and one of the reasons why we decided to have the public hearing extend for 2 days, 2 POGO days, or a cycle, is over 2 cycles, is because, we haven't created a new department since 2008. And so creating a department is a big deal in the city enterprise. And then also, part of this is that we're asking for this department to be funded through taxpayer dollars and general fund monies that come into the enterprise. And so it's really important for us to hear from the constituents on how they feel about it, and to give people enough time to voice their opinions about the creation of this department. And so if an individual doesn't want to sign up to actually speak at the public hearing, comment will be open, like via letter or what have you, will be open starting on June 30th and throughout that whole entire time, closing on July 21st if someone wants to just, put in a comment to the city clerk's office, and then it goes into the actual formal record for the creation or non-creation of the department. So on July 21st, the public hearing will close, and then the art staff and some other departments will make a presentation about recommendations regarding financial supports for the department. And that presentation will come at the end of the public hearing. And essentially we'll just outline, it's intended, but it has not been solidified by any stretch of the imaginations, but it's intended that we will give recommendations, having worked with finance, about potential ways that we can fund this department, and then the city council members will go from there. So POGO will actually have to vote, that committee will actually vote on July 21st on whether or not to create the arts department and move that approval to the city council meeting, which will be that next Friday. Let me look at it, Friday the 23rd. And then city council will take a complete vote on whether to approve the creation of the arts department. That is assuming that the POGO committee on the 21st approves the creation of the arts department in its subcommittee. So that is where we are at. The proposed I'm sorry, my dog is, the proposed ordinance has been, was uploaded in LIMS, so it's open for public viewing. I believe that you all have gotten a link to it. And so, yeah, I think that's the brief update that we have right now.
I should also add that in the ACCE newsletter, we announce the opening of the ordinance and a link to it. And then it's also posted on the ACCE website. And I think Mary also distributed it through her listservs. So it's out there.
Thank you so much. So we are going to have a broader discussion about this, but does anyone at the moment have any questions about the process and the timeline and the points of, anything for Gulgun and Danielle while they're here? I don't see anyone's hands up. If I don't see your hand, you are welcome to speak. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item, which is an update on the letter that we sent in support of the advancement of the stabilization effort. And Commissioner Aylesworth, if you just want to give a brief update for us about what transpired.
Sure thing. First of all, just a big thank you to everyone for the unanimous support last month's meeting to approve sending the letter over in support of art stabilization. Tina was very gracious to make sure that council members and staff all received that. And I think it's really nice to be able to have a voice for MAC as a whole to be able to be in support of that. We're continuing that work here, and we're going to be talking a little bit more how each commissioner can be a part of that. Next, I would like to note that we didn't get any direct feedback. I didn't receive any emails or hear from any commissioners who got direct communication from their council members. But I do think during this busy time, it was certainly read and noted. And I feel really good about the communications that we've been moving forward. So thanks to everyone for the support.
Thank you so much for your efforts too, and the policy group's efforts as well, to coordinate that, and everyone that supported it. So thank you very much. Any questions for Commissioner Aylesworth about the letter? Okay, the next item is really ordinance review and discussion. So the policy action learning team did meet, and of course there's been a lot of information exchanged, and we have been having some great robust conversations about the ordinance. We met today to provide some framing and some guidance about how MAC can support the ordinance, and also what our positioning could be. And Commissioner Thompson has created some suggested edits for the language just to start. But before we Well, actually, I'm going to share this in the chat and I'll also read the suggested edits, and then I want Commissioner Thompson to just explain the rationale. So the first one is suggested language would be leverage investments in arts and culture to advance the city's racial equity, equality, and inclusion goals. And Commissioner Thompson, do you want to just speak to this suggested language change?
Yeah, thanks. If you look at the draft ordinance, there is a duty number 3 talks about advancing cultural equity, equality, and inclusion. And I just thought that a phrase like leveraging investments was just a lot stronger. And I looked at the work group presentations and report and stuff, and the language that I'm recommending here is more consistent with that. Those documents and that process talk about racial equity, equality, and inclusion. So I just thought this was a much more direct and action-oriented statement than just advance. It actually talks about leveraging investments. So I just think it's stronger, and I think we were talking earlier, I'm not sure what cultural equity means in the city of Minneapolis, but racial equity seems to be a phrase that is a lot more kind of understood and used. So, and it, like I said, it was in the work group presentation and in their report. So, two things. I'm trying to strengthen the language. So this would replace, we would be recommending this to replace duty number 3. So I think leverage investments is stronger, and use of the word racial with racial equity, equality, and inclusion, I think is just a lot more direct and relating to all of the work that the work group put in before this. So that's recommended language. I guess I'm recommending for the commission's consideration.
Thank you. And we do have another item, but before, for suggested edit, before we move on, did anyone have any questions or comments about that? Okay, and then the second item is suggested language, advocate for a dedicated local revenue stream for arts and cultural investment. And again, Commissioner Thompson, if you don't mind giving us the rationale for the change.
Yeah, so a couple things there. There are some duties that address like state and federal funding and kind of suggest a constant revenue stream, but I thought that it was a little bit roundabout. And so I'm trying to just be really more direct under the duties thing and be clear. And in the work group report and presentation, this constant, a dedicated revenue stream came up again and again and again. So this would be, this would not replace any of the current ones, but it would just be more specific to local revenue stream. And I guess Gulgun or maybe Danielle talking earlier about the general fund dedication, it's good to know. I didn't know that that was part of the conversation, but I just think this would be a duty of the department over time. So it's just a consistent thing that the department would be doing. So, advocating for dedicated is really important. Local, because the other duties that deal with this issue talk about state and federal funding and other things. So, so that's, again, I thought it was clear. I thought it was a little bit stronger, and it does talk about the local input there.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, this is Danielle. May I ask a question so I'm clear about the recommendation?
Sure.
So on number 10, you're recommending that it adds into all of that also a dedicated revenue stream in that list of items in bullet 10. I'm trying to understand, Commissioner Thompson.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I was suggesting it as an additional duty.
Oh, okay.
But it could be incorporated in that, but I just thought it was important. There's a lot in that one in number 10. So I was recommending it as a separate duty.
Okay. Thank you.
And then before I move on with some more key pieces, does anyone have any questions about that specifically or comments? Okay. And then in addition to the the suggested language edits that Commissioner Thompson generously provided and that we discussed. We also would like to draft a letter of support that includes this, as well as an expectation for the next phase of the development of the department to so that the Minneapolis Arts Commission has a continued and a meaningful role in shaping this department. And as the work looks to Chapter 36, that we are at the table and able to be an active member of that discussion and an active party in developing the department. So the policy committee is committed to drafting that letter on behalf of the Arts Commission, but this evening we do need to have a vote on the two suggested edits, as well as the key point of us also including the Minneapolis Arts Commission as a key partner for the development of the department. And then we are going to work to elect a speaker, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. But so this is a lot of information for you all to process. We have tried to synthesize it the best we can, but I'd like to just open it up to the rest of the group for any questions, comments, concerns. And I want to support everyone that, you know, I know this gets said and it's kind of cliche, but in this instance, it's really true. There is no stupid question. For a lot of us, this is our first time really intersecting in this way with policy and with this process. And so a lot of us don't have a lot of seasoned experience in doing this work. And so I want to thank everybody for learning alongside each other and for being supportive. And I want to welcome you to ask questions that you might be having. So I want to open it up to everybody, and then we can move forward towards that motion. So does anybody want to ask Danielle, Gulgun, myself, Commissioner Aylesworth, Mary, or just comment? I am not seeing any hands being raised. Am I missing anyone, or are we?
Lisa's hand, Commissioner Mayday.
Thank you. Okay, I see it now. Go ahead, Lisa.
I was curious, as the new language was crafted, if Danielle or Gulgun had in their minds how they anticipated working with the commission in the future. Similarly to everyone else, I think who's here, was eager to see how the Arts Commission was going to be, used in this new process, and was somewhat concerned to not see that really made more clear. And so I'm really curious for them, like what they were seeing or reading in the tea leaves of the information they were getting back from leadership about what the role for the commission could be seen to be in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a couple of things. You all should know that when we draft these ordinances, we work with legal very, very closely. And you all, the commission is under Chapter 36, I believe. And so when we create ordinances, we make the city attorney has a lot of roles, but one of them is to make sure that we are not butting up against already existing ordinances and I will say contradicting them in any way. And I think Amy would be better to discuss this, but so we did think about the role of MAC, and I think that I said to my very, very first conversation with you all is that as we see this department growing or being created, right, that we see that at some point when we think about the MAC, we see that for potentially that ordinance that we'll have to revisit the duties and scope of what MAC does. in terms of what happens in the in their influence in the department, you all's influence in the department. I have intentionally brought you in and tried to, you know, repair a somewhat fragmented relationship, and I'm committed to doing that. And so we tried to be very, very thoughtful on making sure that we weren't, because of the logistics of everything, that we weren't actually touching your ordinance at this point. We were just kind of very singularly focused on let's create the department. And then those other ordinances that you know connect or will connect to the department, then we have to look at in different phases. And that was and so that's what we did. But it's not as if we created the department. So I want to be really clear here, because you all have been so supportive, but even if you weren't, I also want to be clear that your input and your experiences and connection with community is also important to us too. So it's not that we created the ordinance in terms of we were ignoring what your influence on it will be. We were creating the ordinance, quite frankly, very narrowly and singularly about let's create the department, and then any other ordinances that we might have to adjust, we would do so if a department is created. We're still in the if phase, quite frankly. You know, this isn't a done deal, but that's how we've been working.
Thank you.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Would it be okay if I just ask a quick follow-up on that?
Sure.
I genuinely appreciate, Danielle, your description of how challenging it is to like really specifically define it. And I get why that makes that strategy that you approach to try and make it narrow make sense. So I guess that's why I was asking, regardless of what it says, what is your intention as a department going forward and how you would like to use the MAC? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that we would, as we build and create programs and foundations, some foundations we have solidly in place, like I know with Mary and Golgoon and their work, but we, you know, part of this arts department is creating new programming to really affect and invest in community on a very intentional way, that it's wonderful to get and hear your input from your perspective as being either in administration or individual artist or in organizations, to know those potential impacts as we are developing things. I mean, I think it's such a great, you know, it's really interesting because I think the example of we just heard from Rojo, and they were talking about someone had asked the question, and I apologize for not remembering who did, but about the neighborhood investment and how that affected them. Like, that's only through a conversation here and with that organization that we can then get, oh, here is a gap here in access that we don't, you know, we don't want to perpetuate. And so I see the MAC helping us in understanding those things, because we're creating the department to be more inclusive, to be more intentional in investment, to support the sector, to support arts internally too in the city enterprise, to make the arts spend and our accountability more transparent to people. And so that's how I see the MAC interacting. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Yeah, so that was great. That was really helpful, Danielle, for me to hear what you just said. I was wondering, just given though the first part of the answer that you gave, would it still, understanding keeping those ordinances, Chapter 36, separate from what you guys, you know, what we're proposing right now, would it still be appropriate though for MAC to say in our comments somewhere, just say, put it out there for the city council to understand that we want to continue to be involved in discussions as the department is created and as it gets underway, and we want this continued and meaningful role. Would that still be important to say from your standpoint?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Okay, good.
I would add that's critical because the council has been hearing from staff and very much echoing what we have heard again from ROHO. I mean, a lot of what we heard is really reflected in our recommendations to council in terms of, you know, the city doesn't have a history of supporting nonprofit organizations, let alone nonprofit arts organizations. It has very few strategies, if at all. So we have made those recommendations, but I think the council wants to know how the community feels because they don't get a sense. These are new council members, if you recall, for those who were around during the roadmap days when we were creating the cultural plan, we heard similar things. However, these are new council members. So we've got to ensure that those council members are connecting the dots, and you are the community in this work for us. The ones that paid attention and continue to address the roadmap and our accountability on what the community said through that work as well. So I feel that it's really critical that your voices, that you name what it is and that you address it, because that we get asked that all the time, and we need community to speak up.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or questions, considerations? Okay. Okay, so we may be ready for a motion to recommend approval of the ordinance with the following key considerations: suggested language edits that we reviewed this evening, as well as the consideration of the Minneapolis Arts Commission's meaningful involvement in the development of the department. And so can I get a motion?
I'll move it. I'll move it.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Can I get a second?
I will second it. This is Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Can you call the roll, Tina?
Yes, Commissioner Aylesworth,
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury,
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mansfield,
Aye.
Commissioner Middag,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Aye, that motion passes. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate all of the hard work that's going into this, and the Policy Action Learning team will draft our letter, and it will be available to you. We are going to be meeting about that. So before some of these key meetings and opportunities for public hearing, which that is the next item. So Commissioner Aylesworth, if you don't mind just giving us a brief update about that.
Sure thing. Thank you for reviewing the dates for the public hearing. Just to reiterate one more time, we'll also send some email information just to keep it fresh for everyone. But June 30th and then July 21st. June 30th being the most important date coming up right now, being that after the July 21st, that'll be the close of public comment, and they'll be voting right after that. So one item that we were talking about in policy is how MAC wants to put out the word to the community to drum up some additional support. You know, do you have an artist who you have in mind who you could recruit that might be interested in speaking at a public hearing or drafting a letter? We'd also like to open it up to commissioners if anyone, you know, would like to throw their hat in the ring to speak and present. We'll certainly be sharing the letter that we draft on behalf of MAC. And if there's additional commentary, that would be very open. So I'd like to take that on if anyone wants to email me personally. If you have interest in speaking at the public hearing, please email me. If you know someone you'd like to connect with and ask if they would speak or draft a letter, it'd be helpful to have a collection of MAC connection points who may or may not have interest in moving that forward towards art stabilization. If anybody wants to say right now, yes, I would love to be one of the speakers, or throw out anyone you know. We're also looking for a discussion around how to best get the word out. If you have ideas other than your general social media or sending your friend an email, this would be a great time to continue that conversation.
Commissioner Aylesworth, we just also remind everyone that they should share this on the MAC Facebook page.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, it's up on the Facebook page presently. We'd love some shares.
Yep, I shared today. So thanks, everyone. And, you know, I'm sorry.
Using the, on the Arts, Culture, Creative Economy website, it's minneapoliscreates.org. It's posted as a one of the top items, news items, with links to the ordinance. And I think it's really important for folks with a link to where people can submit letters and then sign up for the public hearing. So just look at that for links. I think that would be helpful for you to share as well. There's a subject heading that's really important, and the legislative number. I was told by the clerk's office that unless that's in there, they can get lost. The letters.
Hey, Kugun, that's what's on the Facebook page, is that
awesome.
It shares that page.
Yeah, so I just want to emphasize, just use that information.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Any other comments? Is anyone's hand up that I'm not seeing?
Lisa.
Okay, Lisa.
I just wanted to say that I'm more than happy to yield the floor to someone who wants to speak, but if we are looking for MAC commissioners who are comfortable to speak to council on that day, I can make room in my schedule to do that if that's useful.
Thanks, Lisa. I'll note that. I really appreciate it.
And I also want to say too that, you know, we talked about this earlier today when policy met, and we are open to multiple MAC members speaking on behalf, you know, and I think that we could, if we wanted to have even more than one speaker is great. I think that's what we need at a minimum. But if we wanted to have more than one individual speak, we can strategize around that. And Commissioner Aylesworth and the policy team is really happy to figure out how to best accomplish that. So if you decide later that, hey, I want a chance to be able to speak on behalf of the MAC to the City Council, that we will support you. So I hope that makes sense. Any other questions, comments? Anyone have their hand up that I'm missing? Okay, great job, you guys. Awesome. Thank you so much. The next item then is vacancy updates. I'll take this first item, that Commissioner Thompson was seated to the Executive Committee and the Policy and Advocacy Action Learning Team. Thank you, Commissioner Thompson, for diving right in. We so appreciate you. So thanks. And then I would like to pass it to Commissioner Bedbury to give us an update about vacancies.
Yeah. So good news. We thought we might have some good news the last time we had a meeting, and we have good news. We've decided to forward one application further to the confirmation process, as it be. It will be somebody who will represent Ward 12, which was currently not a ward that has been represented. We're asking to fill the admin seat number 16, which is a spot through 2023. So we want commitment. No, that's not true, but that's the hope and plan anyway. So it's pretty exciting. So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys are aware, we have 6 seats left. We have 3 artist seats, 2 lay seats, and 1 admin seat. So if that gets your juices flowing in your brain of anybody that you might have in your head, and we're really focusing on BIPOC. We want BIPOC in those seats, right? So anybody you have, anybody you can recruit. It's 8 hours a month, right? Like now I feel like an Army recruitment, like only 8 hours a month and you'll gain this much skill and you'll have all of this stuff you can contribute. Like I should have a slideshow behind me to try to recruit people. But so that's kind of what we're working on right now. Also, just so everybody is aware, the application extension is till June 30th. However, we're just going to keep asking to extend the application as long as it takes to fill those 6 seats with amazing BIPOC talent. And then I guess what our hopes and our dreams are is that we can, the faster we can get people to fill their application and turn it in, the faster we can interview them with our selective committee and we can get them in our meeting. And that's kind of the goal. And then they can have a voice in what we're going to be voting on and moving forward with, and hopefully come to the public hearing and have something to say about everything. So I think I got everything. Did I forget anything, Commissioner Voderbruggen?
I think you did it. Does anybody have any questions? We continue to extend the application deadline. Thank you so much, Tina. You've been really awesome at, and I know that there was some challenges with the link to apply. So I think that's another takeaway that we'll just, with all of our communications, we'll continue to send the link to apply. So does anyone have their hand up right now? Okay, thank you so much for those updates. And we're going to be really excited to announce our new commissioner should they accept and everything goes well. But yeah, it was nice to be able to interview someone that we think will be a good fit. So that was exciting. Thank you very much. All right, item number 13, our work plan updates. The first one, just for executive, that we do have open seats on exec. If anyone's interested, we continue to have a vice chair position open and we have 1 at-large position. So if you are interested, let me know. If you are, I said this at our last meeting, it made me laugh, so it might make you laugh, but if you're exec curious, anyone is welcome to come to any of our executive meetings. You are very welcome to just sit in and see kind of how that goes. Our main priority and our main function is to really make sure that we approve our agenda and that we set our agenda. So it actually is a very important group because, agenda setting is very, that's some heavy decision making. So that's a lot of what we do. And then we also, of course, try to support the rest of our subcommittees in being successful and finding out what everyone is working on and if they need any support. So that's my executive update. Commissioner Bedbury, I didn't know if it was you or Commissioner Swinton that was going to give an access and engagement update quick, just from a learning action team perspective. I know there was some work that had happened.
Yeah, it's a Swinton with the tag team of Brinkman if needed. So that's what we've decided on.
Yeah, and I think there's a hand up also, Commissioner Midden.
I see. Yep. I'm sorry. Lisa?
I just wanted to do a plug, having served on executive committee for most of my time when I was with the council, that for any of you who are maybe newer to the council and thinking like, well, that's not me yet, the answer is it's absolutely you, and you should volunteer because it's a great way to kind of dive in and find out exactly what we do and how we do it and be able to help set the agenda for it. So if you join the commission to make a difference, join exec, you'll make even more difference. And that's my pitch.
Thank you so very much. That was excellent. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Swinton, thank you.
Yeah, so if you think about access and engagement, the AELT, what we're trying to really kind of focus on 2 areas, right? The new commissioners, which the exec committee and Commissioner Bedbury has already kind of gone over. And the second area is really engaging the community. So I'll talk a little bit about kind of how we're thinking about that. So we're thinking there's 2 areas, right? And you guys got to witness one today, right? Bringing folks in to kind of talk to us and just kind of talk about what they're trying to do and how we can interact with the community. And I think Rojo did a excellent job, right? So we want to continue to do that. And we think about and the other thing we want to do, and this is a little bit of optimism, right? That we'll be able to meet in person, is that go-to places, right? So what we've tentatively started to set up is every other month doing one of those things, right? Either having somebody come in or us going to, a particular location. And so, and going to a particular location, the idea is around really engaging in the community, right? And getting in the community, and actually the group that that's hosting us being able to have their members be participants and their constituents. So that's the kind of idea. We have a tentative schedule, and it is very tentative, but we're working hard to kind of tick and tie. And probably in the next couple of months we might have a little bit of holes, but I mean we're focused on trying to fill them all. So June this month was ROHO. Still working on July. I know the timing's tight, so there might be opportunity not to have. We might not get one in July, but we're trying to get somebody to come and speak in July. August, we are going to try to have an in-person, if we can have it, at Black Table Arts. I've talked in general with Kinu about it, but we haven't locked it down, right? But that he's expressed interest in having us come. September, a speaker still to be determined. October, in person with all my relations and getting out to them. November would be an arts panel that we've talked about, I think, for a couple of years. Let's try to lock that down. It gives us a little bit of time. What we'd like to do that is do it in the new city building and use that as an opportunity to get people to see the public art that was, just approved by the by the folks, and have the arts panel. So we think that could be fun in terms of having an arts panel and potentially having a tour. Now that would be these rest of the ones that we're saying would be in conjunction with our normal meeting. This would be a little bit. This would be to give the arts panel and the tour at some time. We think this needs to be a separate timing and event. So those are the initial thoughts. Love to hear kind of comment if you have a differing opinion. And then December, have our public meeting. We are required, to have a public meeting, and the thought is to have it at the Hennepin Theater Trust. And obviously we have a great inn there. Hopefully we can get it for a good rate. No, just kidding. But we love to have it there. And then in that one, invite multiple organizations, right? So and really try to make that one the kind of big kind of celebration of the year, in December. So those are our kind of initial thoughts. Did I miss anything, Commissioner Brinkman? Barry? Anything? Okay. So that's my report.
Just maybe if you guys if anybody on the call has ideas of who we could invite for July.
Yeah.
Invite for the other month that I think we're September, I think is the other one we need to fill. Please pop us an email.
Yeah, and what all I did was, did the invite and then just had a quick, like a 30-minute meeting beforehand with ROHO, and just, talk to them about, hey, just introduce yourself, be prepared to answer questions about how we can, connect, and, just tell us a little bit about your organization. So very, quick, easy agenda. They asked if they needed a slide presentation. I said, no, you guys can talk off the cuff. Or if you need a slide presentation, we'd work through that too. But it's make it real cash and, and relax. And we just really want to hear from them. They don't have to be, a professional orator to speak to the group.
Commissioner Thompson, you had your hand up.
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time, Commissioner Thompson. You have to click it again to take your hand down. It'll stay up. That was from your earlier. Yep.
Got it. Sorry, but got it. Okay.
Okay. I was going to suggest that it might be interesting to see if the organizers from Save the Boards might be able to come and talk to us, being that initiative is happening to Memorialize the Movement is the other title. They're kind of two coalitions working together. I can make that invitation and see if anyone has any other ideas. The other thing that we could do also is we could invite an individual artist too to come and just tell us if that July spot stays open. So I'm assuming that if people have ideas, they can forward that to who is the best point of contact for the July opportunity.
You can forward it to me, I mean, or you know, Commissioner Brinkman or whoever, you know, the people on the committee are Lisa, Crystal, Mandy, and myself. So
this group,
any
okay.
of the four of us, you know, we have a WhatsApp that we'll keep each other informed if we get a request.
Excellent.
Oh, one last thing I did want to say is that the other thing is we're trying to do with this is kind of low key sell for the commission seats, right? So say get them involved, see what it's doing, and then because I'll talk to Rojo afterwards to see if they have some interest, and just kind of that's another way to kind of get folks involved. By seeing because I think that's the biggest question. Well, what do you guys do, and how can I impact? So
100%. I thank you, Access, so much. This is such an exciting update, and I appreciate all of you getting back together and really revving the engine and getting people to come and getting us out there. This is a tremendously exciting proposal for the commission. So just a big appreciation for the work that's going into this effort to provide access and engagement. That's just excellent. Any other comments or questions before we move on?
Mandy.
Question. So I'm wondering, is this an opportunity that we can ask only people who are related to the arts, or could it be just someone or a group that's very centered in the Minneapolis communities, and maybe it's an opportunity for them to educate us about a sector of the community we don't know as much about? I don't know, or is it just for people within the arts sphere?
I mean, I would say like arts and culture, and I feel like culture is just so all-encompassing, right? And those, I think, if there were connections to artists, or if that group, worked within a cultural sphere, I would think that would be great. And also I just wanted to add too, and I don't know what anybody else thinks about that, but especially kind of like the December, we were kind of calling it a gala. It's probably not going to be that formal, but this is something that we really want to include everyone on, and also make sure we're kind of like on the up and up with like what the budgets are and what the rules are and stuff like that for doing events like this, community gatherings. But really, please let any of us know if anyone has ideas, thoughts, concerns, questions, wants to get involved, because some of these events have the potential for being really fun, and that's just, we really want to just bring community together for some of these. So I just wanted to add that.
Commissioner Thompson?
One thing I thought, and I know this would be a longer time commitment for us, and being new to the work of the commission, depending on the group or where we go, would there be an opportunity for a tour of sorts of projects, or, just getting a larger, like an in-person larger feel for the work that an organization is doing? I would just throw that out there as I'd love to stay longer or come earlier and do a little tour if people would host us when we're out in the community. So just a thought.
Yeah, I think the plan was to do it at the very least a little reception afterward, so that could definitely be baked into that agenda as well after our meeting adjourns. That's a good idea.
And I would just say, back to Mari's comment, is that let's think through that. If you have some ideas that just let's discuss that, because I think it's we hadn't thought about that like you're saying. So, but we'd definitely be interested in hearing your thoughts.
Are there any other questions, comments, considerations for the access plan?
Yeah, I had one consideration. I wonder if at some point in the next couple months we could do a group walkthrough of the new office space downtown. Do you think that's something that would be doable, Mary, with the guidelines that are in place at the moment?
Oh, we can totally do it.
Yeah, I think that would be.
It takes almost an hour to look at all the art. So, but we can totally do it. It's not all quite in yet, but there's plenty of look.
Okay. Do you know when everything will be installed?
The main thing I'm trying to get installed is the Skyway vinyl, and it's all heat dependent, right? Can't be too hot, can't be too cold.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to find a 2-week period where I don't think it's going to be 90 degrees.
Good luck.
Thank you. Commissioner Bedbury?
Man, my mute button's like 6 seconds. This is getting slower. It's getting tired. Is there any idea of when, like, I don't know if is it legally, can we get together in August? Is that a thing? Like, can we start meeting together so we can move forward in our August plans? We're not going to get in trouble.
I mean, I'll just comment that one of the mayor's meetings that I attend just said we're meeting in person next time. So I'm guessing that there will be a way to make that happen. I don't want to assume, and I think, Tina, if it's okay with you, I think that's just a takeaway, is to get that updated. And I believe that Tina's attending like a meeting about it coming up. So, okay. So yeah, I think we could just keep moving forward. Commissioner Menig?
I just want to mention that being able to do meetings remotely was one way we were able to be more accessible to folks who weren't able to attend when it meant driving downtown through rush hour traffic. And while that wasn't me, I knew a lot of people who couldn't be there because of it. So I would be interested in the conversation at the city about how, as a means to continue to provide adequate access for all people to these commissions, if they can sustain the online option rather than eliminating it, which is sort of what had happened in the past. So I just would not want to trade one for the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I know in the past we were able to call it. And so I imagine that remote video participation, I imagine we won't be the only commission, wanting to advocate for that. So Tina, I think if you don't mind bringing that forward when you meet with other assistants, to say that the Minneapolis Arts Commission would like to continue to have a remote opportunity to participate in the meeting for the reasons Lisa mentioned, for accessibility reasons. Is that helpful? Okay, and I apologize.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Tina. I know that we are over time right now, but we knew that we likely would be, so I hope that everyone can stay on. We have 2 more items on our agenda, but the next one is, unless there's any other questions or comments, is it? Okay. We want to discuss the public art item number 9, the Green Crescent final design. And the recommendation is to approve the design. Commissioner Mansfield, would you like to start the discussion?
Yes, thank you. And Doja travelers, as without formal invitation from the Dakota people, we should all recognize and keep in mind that we are all travelers of this land. When reviewing the Green Crescent design, I noticed there were many discrepancies that can be seen as offensive to Native American people. And so in the interest of time, I will just try and run through them all very quickly. Number 1, horses were brought to the United States by colonizers during the period of colonization. They did not exist in this land before a couple of years ago. To use a horse as a symbol for Native Americans is to symbolically erase the very rich history that existed on this land for tens of thousands of years. Number two, Native Americans are not a monolith. This description fails to identify any one tribe that uses the horse as sacred or revered in their society. It also inaccurately describes horses as being used for transportation and hunting, which is inaccurate. It also states that Native Americans in general revered and appreciated the horse. This ignores all of the very individual cultures that have other sacred animals. Number three, one of the few Native American tribes that uses the horse and reveres the horse in their society is the Apache. The Apache are a tribe from the Great Basin, which is in the western United States. And the Apache typically used horses during war with the Plains tribes, including the Dakota people of Minnesota. So putting this up is putting up a symbol of an animal used at war with the Native people of Minnesota. And number four, the Native Americans who were attempted to be reached out in consultation with this artwork were never met with, and there are no opinions of Native American people from the Dakota or Ojibwe tribes, specifically Dakota who are from this area of Minnesota. All of these issues presented in one project, as well as other issues in other projects, show that there is a greater issue in the public art sphere of how Native Americans are treated and represented in artwork throughout city public art projects. And I don't feel that it would be ethical or appropriate to approve this piece of artwork when it would bring so much pain and offense to the Dakota people of this land.
Thank you, Commissioner Mansfield, for bringing those items to our attention. I want to thank you for the generosity of you bringing this, because I think that there is a cultural sophistication that is not happening. So I really appreciate how generous you're being with your feedback. I'd like to open it up to the group to discuss. And
well, Madam Chair, could I at least do a little presentation about this, or?
Sure.
Because so first of all, I think for to have a discussion and to have a really strong reaction to the artwork without giving the artist a chance to respond is really unfair. And I should have, Commissioner Mansfield was unable to make the Public Art Advisory Panel meeting where the artist presented. And I apologize for not following through with her to make sure, she was comfortable with the design, even though she was unable to attend the meeting before putting it on this agenda. But Tina and Javier were selected because they are extremely respected artists in the community, and they are respected by artists of many cultures. And they have collaborated with Native artists. I can understand how some of their language might be misleading about this, but they, and as Indigenous artists themselves, I think they have quite a bit of sensitivity to this. I also just want to point out that we have a work by Marlena Miles, who is Lakota and Dakota in the new building, which features horses strongly. And what both Tina and Javier heard from Native folks, what they told me they heard from Native folks that they were talking to, is that even though the horse was brought here by European Americans, that it was an important part of their culture. And I think that's also why Marlena has been using the horse as an image in a number of her works. And so I feel like this needs a broader discussion with the artists present. If the commission wants to postpone the approval of this work and which will also mean postpone moving forward on the artist contract. I would respectfully arrange that, or, again, arrange an opportunity for Mari to talk to Tina and Javier. But and I also just want to point out that recently Tina shared some literature with us that indicated that new research that's come to light has actually shown that perhaps indigenous people had the horse here in North America prior to European Americans bringing the horse over. And so before there's discussion, I think I would request that the discussion be about whether to approve the item today, or whether or not to table it and allow Tina and Javier a chance to respond to it. Because these are, Commissioner Mansfield's raising some really strong concerns, but given my own knowledge of Tina and Javier's work and their work on this project and their work with Native people, and also the fact that Native people are including the horse in their work in other projects that we have, I think I would request that a decision or an action on the requested item not happen tonight if the commission does not want to approve it.
Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate that. And does anyone else have any considerations or want to contribute to next steps and considerations? Commissioner Thompson.
Well, it seems to me that's a really reasonable way to go, is to table the item tonight and let this conversation happen. So, Mari, maybe you want to move that since that's your concern, but I would certainly be supportive of that. I wouldn't want to take a vote on it. I think it sounds like a really good conversation to have, and bring it back to us when you're ready. So that's what I could move it, or Mari, you can move it, whatever you like.
I just also want to add that the consequence of that would probably, they were hoping for a fall installation, and that postponing it a month will likely mean that it would be a spring installation. But if the commission feels strongly about this, I think you should make this, I'm not telling you what to decide, but it will have an impact on the artists and their fabricator and their cash flow and their, and the panel's recommendation is approval, and the panel was very excited after hearing their presentation. So I just want to add those things. I respect whatever decision you make.
Any other comments, considerations? Commissioner Aylesworth.
I just want to talk a little more about what that timeline would look like, because I do also agree that it's important to be able to reach out to artists and continue this conversation. What would it look like if we called a special meeting of the commission to approve this one item? We talked about doing that perhaps for ordinance letters when the timeline demanded. I would be completely willing to help in the secretarial position, given that we need to set off if that's a necessary need. Mary, perhaps you can advise what the timeline might be for Mari to connect with the artists, and when it would fit in the window to assist with their installation.
I had a little bit of difficulty understanding all of that because there's a little bit of interference. It's okay. But I think what you were saying, Commissioner Aylesworth, is that we could call a special meeting if we needed to, if we were able to reach a resolution about the content. Any other comments, considerations?
So I guess that's a question, right? Could we do a special meeting, whether it's a week from now, and then and Mary, would that still keep it on timing if it was approved?
And if there was a quorum, you would need to get a quorum at a special meeting. So that would be really important, because if you could have the special meeting and then you didn't get a quorum, it would be, we'd still have to postpone it, right?
What, can you can someone remind me again what the quorum is, what the number?
It's like 6 right now. Okay.
6. Okay. Yeah, from my perspective, I'd be willing to do a special meeting, right? I think it's a valid concern by Commissioner Mansfield, and and I think Mary makes a good point that we can hear from these guys, and if we, to Lana's point, if we can, do it in a timely manner that doesn't affect the installation, or if passed, and that's a key word, if passed, I think that's I'm in favor of that solution.
I support that solution as well. I'm curious, Commissioner Mansfield, if you have, kind of what your thoughts are about meeting with the artists, if you are interested in meeting with the artists, if you would prefer that we speak with the artists as a group. Sorry. How you just if you're comfortable providing feedback about what you would feel would be satisfactory moving forward.
I'm comfortable with either as a group or schedule-wise.
I'm sorry, you're comfortable with, can you repeat that?
Sorry, meeting individually, either one, meeting as a group or individually.
Okay. Is it okay as a takeaway for Mary and you to coordinate a time with Tina and Javier? And then my second, okay, yes, that's great. And then my second question is would anybody else, if anyone else is interested in attending as well, I would like for it to be open to any of the other commissioners. If it's possible, Mary, to fast track this, I think that I hear you, and I am sensitive that this is a very timely consideration. And if we find out when this meeting can happen, perhaps we tentatively right now just pick a time to host a special meeting. Because it's difficult to coordinate with this many people and we're all in the room right now. Could we meet at same time, same place, Wednesday at 5 o'clock to and try to get that meeting between the artists and any commissioners that want to participate, including Commissioner Mansfield, to happen prior to that? I mean, Mary, how are you feeling about that as a timeline?
I think that I don't think we should have a special meeting with commissioners and the artists and then meet. I think the full commission should see the full presentation. Okay. Just like the full panel saw the full presentation, I think we're already putting the artists in a really defensive position, and I'm uncomfortable about that because as somebody who's worked on this project for 2 years, I know how thorough their engagement has been. I know how deep their relationships are in the community, and this is putting them in a difficult position that I really think is, to be honest, can only be the result of a sloppy process on our end, right? And so I want to inconvenience them as little as possible. And I would also feel that once you all hear them present, it would be important for them to hear your gratitude for going through this additional process. Because it is for me, this is a little in conflict with the goal, value, artist, and artistic processes. And We just heard from Rojo Collective tonight about how difficult our processes are. And so I respect what Commissioner Mansfield has to say, but I think the artists deserve the utmost respect in this process, and I think we should put them through as few hoops as possible.
Okay, so that being said, then is a better option for there to be just a one-on-one meeting about, or, you know, just a smaller group meeting about the considerations that Commissioner Mansfield has brought forward, and then a special meeting without the artists to discuss and approve or disapprove.
I think if the full commission feels strongly enough about what Commissioner Mansfield has to say, then the full commission should meet with the artists and take into consideration what they have to say. I think, yeah, that's what I think. And I think the artists should have the opportunity to address the full commission. I think that would be the most respectful thing to them.
I guess I'm trying to think about the fact that that sounds very stressful to me, from an artist perspective, that maybe there is a way to have a dialogue of, you know, to address these specific items 1 through 3, that is less stressful than doing a full presentation for the full commission. Again,
but the full commission is postponing the item.
Right.
And so I think that it's only fair that the artists get a chance to address the full commission.
Well, we haven't voted on it yet. We're not postponing it yet, so.
So, yeah, that's my recommendation.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I also want to endorse the tremendous community work that this artist team does. I do have experience working with both of them, and they do an incredible job. So I appreciate that sentiment. So Commissioner Midegg?
I wondered if another option was to ask the artists which approach they would prefer, because I appreciate Joan is saying that sounds very stressful, and I appreciate, Mary, that you want a level of accountability on their behalf, but it seems to me we should allow them to express what to them looks like the best version of accountability, and that it would be worth asking them of their preference of those options, I guess.
I think the other thing about this is that, so this is about culture, right? And this is about people's interpretation of culture. And we have multiple Indigenous artists giving us different interpretations, right? And so, and then we would have Commissioner Mansfield and me reporting on what Javier and Tina said, as opposed to everyone hearing directly from Javier and Tina. And so that's, you know, I mean, my experience is that artists of similar cultures don't always agree on the same, on how culture should be represented, right? And so I don't want us to be their interpreter for you. I want you to hear directly from them, because, you know, you're hearing from, to be frank, an Indigenous artist about how other Indigenous artists are using imagery. And I think that is, and so I think you should hear both sides and not hear my side and Commissioner Mansfield's side of what they said. You know, these issues about who gets to decide how culture is represented are at the heart of the things that we are all struggling with in Minneapolis, right? And so I think it's important for the commission to take this up as a whole.
Okay. Any other comments, considerations?
I just had a question if there was a recording of the public advisory meeting. I know it sounds like, Mari, you weren't able to attend, or if any of the other commissioners who were present at the art advisory can speak to their opinion on it as well, so that we have some perspective from other attendees or a chance to review it recording. Is that possible?
Commissioner Smith, do you want to speak to this? I also was unable to attend the meeting, which is a very rare occurrence, and it's unfortunate, and I apologize that I wasn't able to attend, and I regret that I couldn't. But Commissioner Smith, do you want to add anything about the presentation from that meeting?
I think it is kind of like what Mary said. I don't really want to speak for them. I guess I don't necessarily remember them addressing any of these particular issues directly. So.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have to make a decision, so are we going to ask the artists if they wish to present to the full commission?
I just want to add one other piece of information. So I think they did address it. They met with this group of people called PI, which is the Phillips Indian Educators, and talked to them about their concept. And so this is a group of people in Indian education in the Phillips neighborhood. So I think they shared that as engagement, and they also shared why they selected the horse. And so I think they kind of addressed it.
Okay.
But again, I don't want to speak for them about the use of imagery that's cultural that they selected.
Commissioner Swinton?
Yeah, I would just say that I think there's a concern, right? And there's still a concern. I think we're struggling on the sensitivity of the artist to be able to explain their work, and I can get it, but it sounds like they've done it before, right? It sounds like they've done it with this the group that you just referred to, Mary. They did it with the panel, so. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. They might have some sensitivity about going to another group and like another hurdle to Mary's point, but it feels like these guys have a point of view and they can express it to us. So I guess I'm a little bit less concerned about that sensitivity in this particular case, because they've shown the ability to talk to different groups about, hey, this is why I thought it, this is why I did it, and I'm backing it up. So it's just my thoughts.
Thank you. I would love to propose that we ask the artists to present to the Minneapolis Arts Commission their presentation and give us an opportunity to ask questions. And then we can approve or disapprove at the special meeting. And to do that as quickly as their availability will allow. How does that sound?
Do you think we should talk about whether or not a week from today is even feasible? Oh, Tina's on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I can still schedule it. That's fine. Just, yeah, once we decide what time and date, just let me know. I can put it in LIMS. I have to put it in LIMS. I have to put the agenda in LIMS and then get it scheduled.
And we'll have to check with Tina and Javier, but maybe we could at least check tonight to see who would be available a week from tonight.
Can you?
I would not be available myself, so. Or it's Wednesday, right? Not Thursday. Never mind. I'm okay. Never mind.
So Wednesday, July 23rd at 5 p.m. One item agenda.
June 23rd.
I'm sorry, June 23rd. Apologies, thank you. Pending if they can join us. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Are we putting it in the chat, our availability, or are we just doing thumbs up? It doesn't matter to me. I just want to.
Yeah, throw it in the chat. That may be helpful. Then we can see if we get to 6.
Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like Commissioner Ellsworth, myself, Commissioner Thompson. Okay, we'll have a quorum. Okay, so we're going to tentatively schedule for Wednesday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. to receive the presentation on the Green Crescent project. Commissioner Mansfield, is this, I just want to make sure, okay, you're available. Right. It's like it would not be helpful if you weren't available. Okay, not available. That's okay, Commissioner Brinkman. Thank you, Bill. All right, so we will set that up. So the takeaways on any other comments, considerations, thank you for the additional time this evening to discuss this.
Madam Chair, I think you need to vote to postpone the item.
Oh, we do? Okay, so can I get a motion to postpone the item and have a special meeting on Wednesday?
Yes, I move to postpone the Green Crescent design approval to a special meeting, tentatively staying for 23rd.
Thank you, Commissioner Mansfield. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Is that Commissioner Budberry?
That is.
Thank you. Okay, Tina, can you call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Aylesworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury?
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkman?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Is that Middig or Mansfield?
Yes. Commissioner Middag?
Yes, or aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Swinton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Vorderbruggen?
Aye, that motion passes. Thank you, everyone. And with that, is there any new business that anyone wants to bring forward? Okay. With that, let's see. Let me find my adjournment document. With that, we have completed all items on the agenda for this meeting. I will ask members and staff if there are any other matters to come before the meeting. If not, and without objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. Thanks, everybody, and thank you for the additional time tonight. I really appreciate it, and you all really did a very tremendous job. I'm really grateful. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you.